Today I'd like to continue our journey through the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 8, and take a look at the passage that deals with Jesus as the Son of Man. This title is a very interesting title. Jesus uses of himself with roots in the Hebrew Scriptures. Matthew's use of this title, the Son of Man, refers to Jesus in his ministry 7 times. So Matthew presents Jesus as using this title in his ministry. We also see it in his passion and resurrection 9 times. For example, in Matthew 17, verse 22, as they were gathering in Galilee, Jesus said to them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. He will be raised on the 3rd day." And they were overwhelmed with grief. So Jesus is referring here to his passion, to his resurrection, and this was very stunning to the apostles. They were, "Oh, what are you talking about? That you will have to die, that you will be killed." They were thinking of Jesus as the Messiah, as the one who was going to save them. Now Jesus is talking to them about his death, about his resurrection, about things that they could not quite comprehend. And in doing this, he uses the title Son of Man. So again, it's interesting. Jesus using it just in terms of his public ministry. The Son of Man is sharing the good news, but now he's using it in a different sense to refer to a specific aspect of his ministry, his death and his resurrection. So if the apostles had gotten used to it in one context, now they're thrown a little bit by this new context and trying to absorb what Jesus means by this title, Son of Man. It's also used by Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew as his glorious coming at the end of the ages, and that is 13 times. So you can see in his ministry 7 times, passion, death, and resurrection. That is 9 times, 13 times now, refer to his coming at the end of the ages. For example, Matthew 24:30 says, "And then the sign, the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn. And they will see the Son of Man coming upon the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a trumpet blast, and they will gather his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of the heavens to the other." So this time of glory, this time of completion, this time of the end of the ages will be a coming together, and it will be done by the Son of Man, because the sign of the Son of Man is going to appear in heaven. So this will be a special time when the Son of Man will bring to completion his glory. It will fulfill his promise. He will bring all to glory. It will be done in a very triumphal way with the trumpet blasting. All of the elect will come together. Really a beautiful scene of completion of the ministry of Jesus. So we see it in his ministry, we see it in his passion and resurrection, and we see it in the final days, the end of the world, the second coming, the eschaton, the parousia, all of these glorious senses of the coming of Jesus. So we can see certainly the importance of this title in the Gospel of Matthew. This is not a title that Matthew is going to throw around lightly. It's with a specific intention in terms of the power of Jesus leading us to glory, Jesus coming and revealing the fullness of God to us. The Son of Man in Hebrew is Ben Adam, or in Aramaic, Bar Enesh. Really can be translated as the Son of Humanity. So the sense of Jesus being one with us as human beings. Uh, it can also designate a single member of the human species, just someone who is a human being, but who has a special meaning, a special purpose. Jesus might have used this phrase as a way of speaking of himself as a human being, so Son of Man, referring to his humanity. But also it's very interesting the way Jesus uses it, because he does refer to himself in terms of his humanity being one with us as a human being, but also the sense of bringing us to glory, bringing the ministry to completion through his passion, his death, his resurrection, and then bringing us to glory. So it is an interesting compilation of ideas in this one term, the Son of Man. And it is used as a Christological title in the Gospels. So it is used to give us a deeper insight into who Jesus was and what Jesus tried to do. So when we step back from all these uses in Matthew, what can we conclude about this title, Son of Man? I think we can say Jesus is trying to let us know that he has a special relationship with humanity. He is himself a human being. He has come in the flesh. But he's come with a specific message, a specific program to enact in terms of leading us closer to God. So as a human being in his humanity, appearing to us, but also letting us know who God is in the glory of God, the fullness of God, and with the desire to lead us as human beings to experience that fullness, to experience God's deep personal concern for us. We sometimes think of God as aloof, God in another place, God apart from us, a God who is waiting to judge us. And I think this title, Son of Man, gives us a fuller picture of God. God who understands humanity, God who loves our humanity, loves us as human beings, and a God who wants to elevate us and bring us to this level of glory, this level of deeper experience of the reality of God, so that we will know God in a fuller way, in a more complete way. So I think this title is a very important one in what it indicates to us about the ministry of Jesus, about the very being of Jesus, about Jesus in terms of relationship with God the Father. So I think it's an important title to think about and to see the connections between this title and other titles that Jesus is going to use of himself, and that Matthew will apply to Jesus as well, because the early Christian community obviously is trying to get into a deeper understanding of exactly who Jesus is, what his mission was, and how this mission relates to the call of Abraham and the Hebrew Scriptures. And I think those are important concerns for us today. We also see in this verse from the Gospel of Matthew about the Son of Man. In verse 20 here, we see this use of Jesus as a homeless person. Jesus says, I have nowhere to lay my head. We talk about this in terms of, is this the person we want to follow? Because it might mean that I'm not going to have any place to lay my head either. So we're taken aback a little bit. But this is very similar to that, this title and this idea of Jesus as homeless. Very similar to that of woman wisdom. So the wisdom literature is being brought into play. For example, in Proverbs 120, wisdom cries aloud in the street, in the open squares she raises her voice. So wisdom is in the street. Wisdom is among the people. wisdom has no specific home, but is out there in the streets. In Sirach 24:7, it says, among all these I sought a resting place, in whose inheritance should I abide. So wisdom is seeking a resting place, a place that wisdom can call her own. So we see here this idea of Jesus as homeless. Jesus is inviting us to follow him. The Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head, saying that if we follow Jesus, there are going to be times for us of great difficulty and great challenge. But this is not an easy thing, this following of Jesus.